Hello everyone, this is the first lesson recording for IM1, September 22nd, 2020. So what are we doing today? We are simplifying exponents with the same base and starting chapter 2 on linear functions. So to start off with, we've done a lot of simplifying exponents, level 1. The driving question is, how can I write these exponents in a simpler fashion? So if you recall, we can rewrite this 4 squared times 4 to the power of 3 as this is same as 4 times 4. That's the first 4 squared, and we can say that the second one is 4 to the power of 3 is just another 4 times 4 times 4. 4 to the power of 3 means 4 is being multiplied to itself 3 times. It's not 4 times 3. That's not the same. Okay, so then from here, this simplifies to 4 is being multiplied to how many times? It's being multiplied 5 times. Okay, what about the next one? 4 squared to the power of 3. Well, let's just put parentheses here. Okay, that whatever is in the parentheses is being multiplied 3 times. That's what that means, this 3. With that, we are going to deal with the 3 first. Okay. And then now let's deal with what's inside the parentheses. That's 4 squared. Okay, so then we know that 4 squared is just 4 times 4. And then 4 squared, another 4 squared is being multiplied. And then another 4 squared. So at the end, how many 4s are being multiplied to itself? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So this simplifies to 4 to the power of 6. And then lastly, this one is 2 being multiplied to p times p times p. And then we have another 3. And to that we are multiplying 3 times p to the times p times p. Okay, that's from the second term. Okay, when we put them together, let's bring all the numbers together because we know how to multiply the numbers. Then let's bring all the p's together. We have p times p times p from the first one, and then another p times p times p. That leaves us with 2 times 3 is just 6, and p is being multiplied to itself 6 times. That's how it gets simplified. Okay? Alright, so then the class was asked to do these warm-up problems on their own. Okay, we've done a whole lot of this. I want you to try them yourself. Please pause the video and do these warm-ups. And the answers are in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so 3 squared is just really same as 3 squared, 3 times 3. And 3 to the power of 4 is 3 being multiplied to itself 4 times. That simplifies to 3 to the power of 6. What about 5 squared to the power of 4? That is 5 squared. Whatever is inside the parentheses is being multiplied to itself 4 times. So you can write these parentheses first if you like. You can write the parentheses if that's going to be helpful for you. Okay? Whatever is in the parentheses is being multiplied to itself 4 times. And I know 5 squared is just 5 times 5. And at the end, you get 5 to the power of 8. What about 7 cubed times 7 squared to the power of 3? Okay, so the first term is 7 times 7 times 7. The second term is 7 squared being multiplied 3 times. So you are left with 7. There are 2 of the 7s, 2, 4, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 7 to the power of 9. Then the 5x squared times 2x to the power of 4, you can expand them out. You can bring the two numbers together and keep all the variables together, and you get 10x to the power of 6. 5 squared is 5 times 5. 3 squared to the power of 3 is just 3 squared being multiplied to itself 3 times. And notice that we have 2 different bases. The number that is being multiplied to itself, we call those numbers bases. Okay? When the 2 bases are not the same, we can't just add, we can't sort of say, oh, that's same as 5 times 5 is same as 3 times 3. They're different, aren't they? Okay, 3 squared is 3 times 3, and 5 squared is 5 times 5. You cannot combine those because they're not the same base. Okay, so we need to keep them separate. So that becomes 5 times 5 just simplifies to 5 squared. 3 squared is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 3 to the power of 6. So notice that when the bases are different, you can't simplify those. You need to keep them separate. So then 3y to the power of 4 is 3y, whatever is in the parentheses is being multiplied to itself 4 times. And then bring all the numbers together, and you're left with 3 to the power of 4. And then bring all the y's together, and you are left with y to the power of 4. Okay, so now let's move to another level. Okay, how can I write these exponents in a simpler fashion? 5 to the power of 4 divided by 5 squared, and 4m to the power of 5 divided by 2m squared. Now we're going into division. Okay, so you should be taking notes on this right now. Alright, so 5 to the power of 4, if I just expand it out, that just becomes 5 to the power of 4 divided by 5 squared. Okay, now from here, I can see that 5 is being multiplied and then divided. Okay, so 5 is being multiplied to 5, then divide by 5 here. Okay, so what is 5 divided by 5? What's 3 divided by 3? It's 1. What's 5 divided by 5? It's 1. What's 125 divided by 1? 125. It's 1, right? If you divide the same number by itself, okay, then it just becomes 1. So we can say that this 5 divided by 5 is just 1. So I am creating, this is a giant, what we call giant 1. This is just same as 1. 5 divided by 5 simplifies to 1. Another 5 divided by 5 simplifies to another 5. Another 1, I'm sorry. Okay, so then 1 is being 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 multiplied by 1. Anything multiplied by 1 is just that anything, right? Just like 5 times 1 is just 5, or 125 times 1 is 125, right? So we can actually ignore those ones when you're multiplying by 1, so that you are left with 5 times 5 here at the top. So 5 times 5, and at the bottom you just have this giant 1. 1 times 1 is just 1. So 5 times 5 is same as 5 squared. Alright, now what about when we're dealing with variables? Okay, it's the same thing here. If I expand the top part, the numerator, that is 4 times m multiplied to itself 5 times. 2m squared is 2 being multiplied to itself twice. Okay, then from here, do I see any giant ones? Okay, yeah, I can see that m is being multiplied to itself once, and then it's being divided. So I can cancel these out. M divided by m just cancels out to be 1. Okay, so as a numerator at the top, you're still left with 4m times m times m. So m is being multiplied to itself 3 times. And we still haven't dealt with the numbers. 4 divided by 2. What's 4 divided by 2? It's just 2, right? And then you are still left with m to the power of 3. Okay, so knowing what you know now, I would like you to try to expand this out and see if you can simplify it. Okay, use giant 1. Use giant 1, please. Okay, and the answer will be in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what do we have? Well, oh, I'm sorry, I really should have told you. There is a typo first. Okay, I forgot to tell you. This should be 4, I'm sorry. And this should be 6. And this should be 3. Okay, I need to remember that during the lesson. Okay, so 9, this is 9 to the power of 4 divided by 9. That's same as 9 being multiplied to 4 times and divide by 9. Then you can just create my giant 1, and that cancels out to 1. So 9 times 9 times 9 is what you're still left with, divided by 1. And anything divided by 1 is just anything. So this just becomes nothing, and you're left with 9 to the power of 3. What about when you're dealing with variables? You can do the same. You just expand it out and then cancel out the giant ones. Okay, that's my giant one here. Then you're still left with 2 times s divided by 5. And now 2 divided by 5, can we simplify that? No, we cannot. So that just remains as it is. S times s is s squared. 4x to the power of 4 is x being multiplied 4 times, so I can create my giant one here. And then you're still left with 3x's being multiplied, and we still have the 3 right here, so that becomes 3x to the power of 3. What about d? Okay, so we have 2 different variables. It's sort of like having 2 different bases. Remember the previous before 3 or 5 squared multiply 3 to the power of 4, or 3 squared. Because the base is different, x and y means that the base, the numbers are different, they represent different things. You cannot simplify that, so you need to leave it as x and y. So that just becomes x being multiplied by x, and y is being multiplied to itself 3 times, and then you are multiplying x and y as a denominator. And then from here I need to match up my x's and my y's. Okay, so those are my giant ones. You're still left with 6 and 3 because we have not dealt with it, but this cancels out, but you're still left with 2 y's being multiplied to itself. And we know that 6 divided by 3 is just 2 divided by 1. Okay, so you have 2y squared which divided by 1, which is same as 2y squared. Okay, so I want to see how you feel about exponents so far, and I wanted the class to give me a private chat and how you felt. So and they were also allowed to ask any questions. If you have any questions, okay, you can certainly type. If you have, say, if you're trying to type 5 squared, you do not have the functionality on your Chromebook to be writing 5 squared, so you can always use this 8 or 8 squared. You can write it this as 8, this caret squared. This caret means being raised to the power of 2. Okay, so, or if it's 8 to the power of 5, then you will write 8 caret 5. We call that caret. Okay, all right, so at this point I am going to pause the video, but before you do, there is a link here that you can go to if you have a printer. If you have access to a printer, it will be helpful if you printed out the link. It is in the Canvas lesson resources, and it's a Google Doc. If you don't have a printer, no problem. Okay, we will continue with this lesson when we return. But before we do so, I do want to go through some statistics from the quiz, but I suppose basically let me just explain what I've done. Okay, this is a scatter plot of students' homework grade versus their overall grade, and you can see that each of these green dots represent a student. So for this student, the student's homework grade was 90%, and his overall grade is like 81% or 83%. Okay, this student has not been doing much homework. Okay, let's call this student. This student has not been doing much homework, and he has got 20% on his homework grade, and the overall grade is like 33%. Okay, that's a fail. Okay, so anywhere below 70%, means you are not successful in IM2. Okay, if these dots represent you, that means you are not being successful in IM1, and it can be due to many different reasons, but mostly it's because of motivation and skills. There are 2 different reasons. Okay, and it is not too late to develop better study skills. And this is a just quick talk that I went through. If you're not doing your homework, then it's going to be really difficult for you to be successful, and you can look at the slides to see why.